Your name is Greg. Greg is a little girl. Greg learned how to walk inside Omniverse, obeying the laws of physics. And so you learn how to walk in the virtual world, and look at you now. Can you jump? Wow. Can you dance? I just want to let you know, I am the keynote presenter. I need you to behave for a few.
Hello, it's Joseph again with WeCharge and zchg.org, bringing you an update. Now, you might have seen some Android or bots in the news trying to make it work, like I showed you. And this isn't anything new, but what is age old is that they have trouble making it work. You might have heard that CEO of NVIDIA talking about how the bot of his of the Omniverse, I think he called it, is able to walk around, jump, dance, etc. in the Omniverse. I'll call it the Omniverse if that's not what it's called. But it's not, at this time, as I understand it, able to leave that Omniverse and walk around. Now, there are four-legged creatures that can do some remarkable things. As a matter of fact, with machine learning technology, bots can eventually learn how to walk or even jump or even do acrobatics. But without the underlying physics, if the underlying physics is not correct, those bots are going to be inhibited in their learning. They're going to have delayed learning. They're going to have trouble starting like a deer who's just born, being able to walk. It's going to take them a long time, and it's going to require massive amounts of training data. Now, I firmly believe, just like the rest of our tech, robots do not belong as tethered. They should not have a tether, a leash, anything binding them to centralized corporations, mega corporations. In my other media company, I talked the other day about private-public relationships. There is no business. They're trying to monetize, which is sort of a monotonous word. They're trying to monetize something that should be free, distributed, everyone's property. And I think that's the reason it will inherently fail, because the more we progress, the easier it will be to build one of these bad boys in your garage. And I will say, if they want to use my property and they're a centralized corporation, I'm not going to let them. If they want to use my property and there's somebody working out of their garage from the ground up, or a partnership of people working out of their garages, I might look the other way. But the point is, they cannot have my property. just as I can't have theirs. That is the blight of copyright. Now, it is not at this time true that the copyright laws are being honored. However, that's going to change soon. It's going to change soon because it must, because it was enumerated in the U.S. Constitution. Give me a second. I'm going to go on a segue here. Oop, I didn't spell it like that. There is a, I'm going to show you this one also. There is a copyright monopoly that had occurred. Oh, I can't find it right now. I'll show you this because I did this one the other day. Ooh, and it relates. There's that equation. That's my equation, not mass. That's meters. And it does check out. It is dimensionally correct, and it is copywritten as my property. Copywritten not through the semi-modern channels of copyright, which are in violation of common law copyright. But, in fact, copyright as per the common law, which, of course, supersedes anything temporal. And why is that so important? Well, if you're using F equals ma particle physics, which is old school, which is in the public domain, they can use that all they want, and so can I. And they want to go over to more of a vibrational-based physics, they're going to need to use my equation. My equation is my property. And I have, I think it's 36 years to retain that property. And I'm not giving it up. And I'm not going to let it go if anything should happen to me, to any corporation. And that is enumerated in my documents, and it is enumerated right now. No matter what happens to me, major corporations may not have my property. And I'm not the only one. There are others who have intellectual property that's going to catch up with the law. And that intellectual property is going to find itself trying to be stolen, just as it always is. And it's going to find itself not being able to be stolen once the judiciary catches up with the law. The judiciary is bound by law. They don't have a choice. The judiciary must follow the law. There are severe consequences if they don't. And we're gonna find out pretty shortly, if y'all haven't been paying attention already, that the judiciary is in fact under hot water right now. I've got quite a bit of work put into this, and I'm not the only one. But as soon as I put pen to paper, I've been quietly publishing it in such a way that it is undeniable the timestamp of the property. Timestamps are important in our society. In a game of inches, you want to know who was first. Because it's not a game of miles. Who was first can be seconds. Who was first can be minutes or days. But generally speaking, who was first, it's pretty neck and neck. So to figure out who was first, you must look at not just the day, but the time. The time for a given new creation of a new copyright, a new intellectual property. And boy, we have a lot of intellectual property that has been stolen from us over the years. From a lot of major corporations. And that's my opinion, and that opinion will be found to be correct. You see, because I'm not interested in money. I never was. Money's nice, but money can't buy you happiness. Money can't buy you love. You ever heard that before? I think John Lennon said that. Might have been Paul McCartney, one of those gentlemen. When you create something, it is your property and nobody else's. for 36 years. I really got to find the article I was looking for. I wasn't going to implement this article, but then I did for this speech, for this lecture, for this talk. Here it is. Oh, that's why I couldn't find it, because it's sort of ubiquitous. Essentially, the company that shall not be mentioned has been for quite some time extending the duration of copyright. You can't do that. The reason you can't do that, the law will find, and that's my opinion, but my opinion will come to be found as true. The reason you can't extend copyright is because my rights end where yours begin. Now, when they extended, in my opinion, unlawfully, the copyright duration from approximately 36 years per the Constitution, and they extended it to 3 lifetimes, basically 75 plus years, they did so at their own peril. The reason being is where my rights end, yours begin. Where your rights begin, mine end. You can't do that. That's my opinion. And the reason you can't do that is I already had a right to receive that copyright in the public domain. And when they try to extend it ad nauseum, you end up having a problem because I have a right to that property in the public domain. So when you extend it, although it's all well and good on that wavy, gravy legalese, it ain't good in the law. And that's my opinion. So we might end up finding that a lot of this property that we thought was forever locked in the vaults is in fact in the public domain the entire time, because the law don't work like that. The law operates under precedence, and anything repugnant to the supreme law of the land is in point of fact a nullity. That's my opinion. So, feel free to check out this article. It's sort of ubiquitously named. I might change the name of it because as with this, my tangent here today, I started off having one purpose for the article, and it ended up changing purposes when I got the bright idea in my head that it really was an article about copyright. So it's not really aptly named, but a lot of my work over here is based on this one equation. Force divided by seconds. You can move that meters over to make it underneath, to make it the denominator, to restore it to the original equation I showed you. It's the same equation. In any case, these folks trying to base an entire universe off of faux physics, F equals ma works until it doesn't, they're going to be hitting a wall. And that wall, I think, is sort of divination. I think that it's design. You ever see Star Wars? Do you think anybody cared who owned the intellectual property to those bots? I don't think if you were paying attention, that Luke Skywalker chap, he built the robots himself, didn't he? Or excuse me, his father did, and he was repairing them. But I wouldn't put it past Luke or really anybody else, a mechanic on the street, your Joe Blow mechanic at that point in time, in that fake universe with certain realistic implications. He was able to repair the bots and conceivably also build the bots. Let's watch this really quick.
Truly run a 500 billion parameter.
Whoops.
AI model without having any expensive server equipment or anything like that. This AM5 system can run one of the most advanced AI reasoning models available today, but this model is running entirely offline, under your control, self-contained. You can reprogram it. You can do all sorts of fun things. No subscriptions, no lock-in. The software is set up pretty awesome, and for now, it's ahead of what you can do with Ollama or LM Studio or Amuse AI, at least right now. We at Level 1, and the Level 1 community at large, have one of the best in the world quants for a model that can run on an ordinary system like this. I'll show you how you could build your own personal thinking machine. It's mostly a software thing that has a deep enough context window to handle complex questions and complex asks without hallucination. Reasoning models that can work across tens of thousands of tokens, maybe more, depending on your hardware. Even if you're an AI doomer, hey, here's your chance. I can show you how to build an AI ally that's going to work for you during the coming Kafkaesque nightmare. If the Terminator's coming, we got to know how to build the Summer Glau Terminator. Am I right? That's level 1. Come for the awesome Prometheus.
I love that guy. I met Tech Syndicate. I met Tech Syndicate at PAX. I think it was PAX 2012, and he went on to level 1 tech. This gentleman. But the whole crew is just sharp as a tack. And so what he's saying is on point. And I've borrowed articles from him before. You can check out, if you type Proxmox into the search box, there's several articles that I've got going on. And then I also fairly early on developed my own AI learner. Is it trainer, learner? Here it is. Fairly early on, we used ChatGPT and other bots to generate some early work that myself and others were able to turn into what that gentleman was just talking about. Something which is standalone, local, not tethered to anything. Not tethered to anything at all. And once you have that, why do you need to monetize it? Why do you need to monetize with monotony that product? It's not a product. It's everyone's. Everyone should own it. Everyone should have their own personal assistant with no tether. Something that is more benevolent. And the reason is the alternative, that corporate, that central corporate, it's a dead end. As soon as the central corporation goes rogue, it's over for the common man. And of course, the common man's not going to allow that, are we? And really, it's natural. It's a natural thing, because if we don't, it beats the alternative, and because it's so easy, and because I think it's human nature to want to create this. I have a desire myself to. It's just fun, to play with robots, to play with the large language models, the left brain, right brain, trying to bridge them. It's natural. It's a copy of nature. It's a replication of nature, so it follows. But yeah, we've been talking about this actually quite some time. In some ways quietly, in others overtly. And so we've got our Proxmox Symposium. We talked about DeepSeek, which I don't recommend, but at the time it was a great milestone to show kind of a proof of concept of a local AI. And then we've got our Proxmox Redux, which talks about that, all based on Proxmox, which allows the containerization of assets. And when you can containerize assets, you can create various context files for different tool sets, and you can cross-promote, cross-apply those tool sets, which is sweet. It basically means you can have a physics-minded context file or a mathematics-minded context file, or one that's really good at Ernest Hemingway's style of literature or what have you, and they can bleed across one another selectively. And, of course, it's local. Emphasis local. Let's see. Was there anything I wanted to talk about for the time? Because I'm actually getting pretty excited. I did this because I really, the problem with developing a bot for me is I got to go down in the cool basement, and I gotta put it together by hand. And of course, making a profession out of building computers, that's easier said than done. When there's no immediate pay for it, I don't want to do it right away. I want to put it off. But this got me fired up. I'm gonna go build my robot. Take care. God bless. ZCHG.org. Check us out.